something else we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about this GNX album. Kendrick Lamar this weekend came out on the Friday. I think it was noon, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, Kendrick Lamar's album was out, and I was like, what album? What are you talking about? And then clicked on it. Strangely, I didn't like the intro, but yeah, I know. It didn't hit me at first or whatever. Like there was something with the beat. It was just off. But then after that, I just loved everything else. So I've been starting it at number 2. Just I don't like the beat on the intro.
Oh my god!
Really?
Yeah, I know. Like I played
It's
it in
like
the car, and I was like, I feel like something's missing.
It's incredible. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, first off, it is like the 50th, like it's like the 50th sample of Houdini Friends.
Uh-huh.
And for me, what I enjoy about it is that like this is only the second time I heard it, like a spooky horror type of version of Friends. When the sample gets flipped. Like the other one I can think of is like the Jordan Peele Us soundtrack thing, that flip, right? That was used for that movie with Kahlua and also with your girl. But anyway, like it's spooky, it's haunting. I thought it was well produced, and it was for something so minimal. Like you get this haunting feeling, and like I thought he rapped his ass off in it, and like I thought he did this. It's almost like a paper. Like he's really good at like just these songs that he's just rapping and goes, and he has a point that he's making throughout the whole thing, and he raps the way he starts it and the way he ends it. He wraps up. It's like it's just so well done. And then honestly, for me, like 2 and 3, I'm kind of like those are the ones that are my skips. But everything else on that album, like after going through it, I think I've heard it 4 times now in different I heard it with some little ear pods. I've heard it like in a car. I've heard it in different sections. Like I like to get because sometimes mastering doesn't hit punch out in certain things. Some things get missed, but listening to them in like quality headphones, it was incredible. Listening to the car was incredible. Like I'm sorry, TV off, just tough. But so what do you think of it? Initial like quick thoughts before we go through a little bit.
Phenomenal album. The 2 scariest words in music are Kendrick dropped. Like, it is truly a moment when Kendrick Lamar steps out. Like I had seen the clip, the little preview clip on Twitter. I was like, oh, look out, Kendrick got something coming. And then I did some work. I just did some stuff on the computer. And then I look back and they're saying the album dropped. I'm like, you mean the album dropped? I was just here. When?
Right.
He just dropped it. So I drop what I'm doing and I'm listening to this thing, and it's like, man, this thing goes crazy. Man at the Garden, the 4th one, that one's insane. I love that one. Reincarnated, TV off.
Yeah.
I can't believe y'all didn't mention him just completely no-selling Drake and doing Heart Part 6 anyway.
Yes.
Oh, we were going to get to it. We were going to go track by track in a bit and whatever. And that was going to be a part. And also, I got another thing about the heart when we get to it. But
I definitely loved Squabble Up, and like I was really taken off because like for him doing that, I like the music sample. I didn't see that coming. At first, I was like, I thought he ruined the song at first. Like and I was like,
oh, when it came in,
yeah, and I was like,
okay,
no, because I don't know if you guys remember.
You thought it was gonna sound like Lame.
Yes, because like I've heard that sample kind of used like before, and it's never really hit like that. But what he does, he lets it run once, and then like just kind of uses it to filter it and all that, and then he's just like going, and I'm like, yes, this shit is hard.
You were getting like flashbacks to like late 90s like Diddy production.
Yeah.
You were like, you're like, oh my god, is he about to go shiny suit on us?
But then from there, everything's just
in retrospect. Hold on, Rich. Hold on. In retrospect, were those suits shiny, or was that baby oil? We need to go back in time and figure out.
I'll let you tell it.
Okay, back to your point. Sorry.
Hey Now, bro. When the music starts coming in about like a minute 45 into Hey Now, like beyond like,
Oh yeah,
bro.
I was already out of there on
It
that.
feels like, and I know this makes no sense. It feels like the aliens are rising out of the ground and like telling me to dance and fight on command. Like, I was like, I started hearing this stuff and I was like, what the like? Because it felt like it was some like Africa Bambaataa, but slowed down a little bit, mixed with like LA music from the 80s or whatever, that like they turned into like some hard shit. And then he throws the Starships on Bankhead part in there. That was dope.
Yeah. When he said starting to see spaceships on Rosecrans, I lost it.
Yeah.
I fucking lost it. And I was like, that's the thing with Kendrick is like, you know, even in the skits he's talking about Jeezy albums or whatever else, like, and you know, doing the on Element talk, doing what was it, the Juvenile stuff, right, from right, like, he is such a fan of rap outside of where he came from, and I think it's really cool that like it's clearly influenced him, and like I think that's the reason why I think this album or mixtape or whatever you want to call this, I think we got to get to it at one point. They're saying this is a mixtape.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
Yes.
No, exactly. Now, what I will say is this, because they're like, this is a teaser for his real album that's going to drop later. These are like throwaways. Well, okay. I've always had this ever since the streaming thing started happening, and it was specifically with coincidentally Drake. Or with if you're reading this too late, right? Where he claimed that to be a mixtape or a playlist or whatever he called it. He called it something that wasn't an album, right? And I'm like, okay, are you selling it? Is it going up on streaming?
Yes.
It's an album.
Yeah.
You can call it an album, an EP, a playlist, whatever the fuck you want to.
Big
but if you are sampling, if you're getting samples cleared and you are paying people royalties for this, it's album. In my mind, like, you can call it whatever technically you want to, and it can be technically whatever it is. But what it actually is out music that you are selling.
Hey,
sorry,
I know who considers it an album. Big Lucian saying bring that money back.
Right. So, all right, that's fine. So when I hear this, I'm like, okay, Kendrick, whatever the hell you want to call it. Now, if he comes out with something else after this, two things. First thought is, what the fuck is he going to follow this up with if it is something? And as far as like the anticipation and like the level of quality it has to be to top this. And two, if this is in fact gets classified as a mixtape, was this the greatest mixtape ever? Because like there are some of the like the best mixtapes I've ever heard are incredible. They do not have this level of depth and thought put into them. Just flat out no.
Ironically, you bring up something like one of my favorite mixtapes ever is Mood Music 3, but it was mixed terribly. There's a song on this that reminds me of something that would have been on Mood Music 3, which is Reincarnated, when he does the whole thing where he's rapping for three different perspectives of like a jazz singer, like a
guitarist, and then also himself. It is himself being talking to a guy that he's actually realizing he's a devil.
And I'm like, this sounds like three sides to a story or something.
Yeah, it's a very cool concept. Like Glory is a great concept record too. Like, man, it's so many places to go. All right, so when I said that I skipped that, for me, my two skips are 2 and 3. I'm sorry, I meant 3 and 4. Like, it's one mic.
I started hearing that, and I was like, the one mic beat is way better.
There's that. There's also the part where it's like, look, man, one mic is an incredible concept record. I think it's a great record. It is not a record that I want from Kendrick Lamar as another version of it. It's fine. It's fine on its own. But like, if I go back and I'm playing this in the car, I'm not playing that. And when I go play Nas in the car, the few times I do, I'm not playing one mic either. I'm playing Hate Me Now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm playing Hero.
Shout out to the Miz.
Yeah, I'm playing, New York State of Mind. I'm playing The World Is Yours. You know what I'm saying? I'm playing that kind of stuff. Hell, I'm playing nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm playing all sorts of stuff. I'm not necessarily playing one mic because like the part that has the energy is like 2 minutes. How far do you before he raises his voice in one mic?
It comes down like the verses are dim and then the hook is loud.
Yeah. So it's fine, but for me it's like that's not what I really want. Like, I'm looking for Swabble Up. I'm looking for blacked out murals. I'm looking for TV off. I'm looking for Hey Now Say Now. I'm looking for Peekaboo, right? I'm looking for Dodger Blue, right? I'm looking for fuck around, sliding, like effortlessly charismatic Kendrick that like, and I feel like this album gave us a thing that a lot of people that nitpick Kendrick say that he doesn't have or he never had, which is ridiculous. It's like he's not that charismatic. He can't play something for the cars and the clubs. It's like, all right, well, he just gave you a 12 track and like 8 of them shows kind of do that. So I guess you gotta shut the fuck up. So yeah, man, I thought this answer, for all the doubters, naysayers, whatever else, like you say what you want to, but Top Off is I'm sorry, I keep saying Top Off. TV Off is incredible. So yeah, I think this answered a lot of questions or doubts or whatever you had for his legacy. You take me, he be lacking it. Like I remember, I think I said this to in a thread, or I said this to Marcus, one of our friends, because he's OVO Marcus at this point. You guys call it what it is. He's OVO Marcus. He's compromised. It's bad. And he was just like, he's like, there's like two and a half bangers on here. I was like, what? 2.5? I was like, okay, I see you are still stinging. I see you are still suffering. I see you are still coping. Man, I was like, but at the end of the conversation, because I'm going over to a spot for Thanksgiving. He asked me this joke about he asked me something about like what up, like he's cooking bratwurst along with everything else for Thanksgiving, right? So I'm like, bratwurst, what the fuck? Where is he going? He's about to make some homophobic joke. Where is he going with this? And all of a sudden at the end, he's like, you want mushrooms, peppers, onions. All right, you want ketchup? Or do you also want mustard? And I was like, oh, okay, I see. And he was like, look, man, that one's undeniable. I was like, yeah, I know. I know it hurts for you to say this. But that one's undeniable. So
I think with this one, in Kendrick Lamar's a modern rapper, and in modern times, and it's very tough for people to accept that, hey, maybe we're seeing somebody that can actually challenge for the crown. I think this is like we're not talking about like he's the best rapper out or anything like that, or the best rapper of his generation.
We're past that.
Like, why are we not talking about the greatest rapper ever at this point?
I've said before this year even happened with Like That or the whole thing with Drake, I've always put him in that box of like most talented guy, most gifted people I've ever heard be a rapper, right? And what he does with this, when I was like, I heard Not Like Us, I was like, look, he's rapping this off and he's ignorant. He's ignorant, just flat out, just killing it. And I'm like, I want an album of this, and he literally it's almost like he heard me. Was like, all right, I got something for you, James. You finna love this. Look, he doing what I want right now. He is doing exactly what I wanted, and I'm I heard people like wish it was all 12 Not Like Us. And I was like, nah, that's too much. You need like 3, 4, and then you sprinkle some stuff around it. To show what his gifts are. And look, after this, I'm just like, I think he might be the most complete rapper I've ever seen or heard. I think at this point, if he's not, he's definitely in discussion. Like he is one of the few perfect rappers there's ever been. I think that's without question after this.
I think I could sum my thoughts on the whole thing like this. What big 3 you smoking on, Drake? What are you like? How badly has first person shooter aged? Like, honestly.
Like it's almost like the Nostradamus of this era, but like it actually ended up like not working out for the winner. So like, you want a ball till you fall, I can help you with that. Like where it starts out this whole war essentially, except Nas wins. I think, you know,
Mhm.
time pass. He wins the rap battle portion of it. He kind of loses the career thing, right? But he wins the
Yeah,
rap battle
absolutely.
thing, right? But
Yeah.
Drake in this time, he loses unquestionably.
Yeah.
And
Low-key loser in this, by the way. Tyler, the Creator. Chromacopia was 2 weeks ago, man. Swerve wore the gear at the pay-per-view, and it's like, well, that's gone.
we out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look,
He gets out the city after Kenny. That's a fact now. And Kenny was like, yeah, you are. After me.
Yeah. Look. The Tyler thing, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how I think he's a better artist than a rapper. No, I just think he's a better artist than he is a rapper. Like, I think he's better at making music than he is at making rap music. And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around like where he's in a unique space in rap. So I don't know how
he fits in.
I don't know where he fits in. The more time, you know, that works, and that he's actually like a hip hop heavyweight, and he's been that for longer than this conversation has been, years longer than that. Like when he got number one over Khaled, and he rubbed it in Khaled's face, like that's been a thing for a while now, for years now at this point. But I still don't know what to do with that because, you know, I still remember that shock jock shit he was doing. But I still remember that.
I get stuck on that too.
And that shit was lame back then.
It still like hangs there, and he knows. He's like, yeah, it is what it is. But he switched it around, and he's talked about like how like he doesn't know where he really fits in rap, but he's trying to make his way. I really liked Chromacopia, but you know, I mean, I was just bringing that up because it's just like, yeah, man.
One of the things is that, one of the things that like those two collectives, those two music collectives, like of the offbeat, if you call them the alt rap, like the alt black LA collectives, like, I mean, they're super fucking talented. So like he has that in his favor forever. It's like you got Sid, you got Steve, you got Steve Lacy, you got a few other people involved in all that. Like
one of them.
They are seen to
themselves.
Emmy.
I think one of them's in the Bear. Yeah.
Right. That's what I mean. Like they have a sway, like in a way that, like, you know, a Dungeon Family did back in the day. Right. Just you know. Yeah, like what are these weird? What do you think what are these weird niggas doing? Like dressing up like Earth, Wind, and Fire? Like they think they're Afrofuturistic. What are they doing? It's like, all right, well, who won 30 years later? Who won? You know, so that's how it is. And I'm, you know, whatever. Like they're all super talented. It's just with Tyler is always just like, you know, Earthquake's incredible, right? What's Your Name's incredible. His feature stuff that he does, like the stuff he did with Weeknd a couple years ago on that album. I think it was the Don FM. Like, great. It's just I don't know where to place it because I know he's obviously talented, but it's also like I remember some of that stuff he was doing.
First impression still hanging on there.
Yeah. I'm never a big Virgil's talent because that would be ridiculous. But it's just like I am trying to figure out his fandom and how I fit that into, like, where will we talk? Like, if this actually is a thing that is going to be long lasting, how are well, I already know what his crowds look like, right? I'm not getting to that part, but it's just like it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird to try to discuss him and contextualize him in this era because he's actually now one of the guys, one of the real guys.
Speaking of somebody that's not one of the real guys, seemingly anymore, we can loop this thing back around to Drake.
Before we get to Drake. All right, so I wanted to say about the Heart 6. So I did not know this. Y'all may have already known this and be like, duh, James. Okay. I'm going through the samples. I'm going through the Rap Genius or whatever else. Because, you know, back in the day, it was like you got to go to All Music. If you didn't buy an album, you had to go to All Music or whatever else, or certain places where you can find it and look at the track listings to see, like, if you're a nerd like me, be like, who produced what? If you can't just tell by the sound of this record who produced what, you see if Just Blaze did it, you got to go through these names and be like, all right, I see okay, this is this person's real government name. Let's see if these production names, if these names on these credits match like certain producers' names I know, right? So I'm looking for T. Mosley, I'm looking for J. Smith, I'm looking for K. West, I'm looking for P. Williams and C. Hugo, stuff like that. I'm looking for J. Dupree, So now we just got Wiki, we got Rap Genius. I'm going to Rap Genius and be like, all right, where's this sample from? It sounds so familiar.
Bro, it sounds like the same shit from EPMD back in the day. I haven't dug it like that deep. It sounds like a slow down version of that of EPMD. What you're saying?
I mean, it's a sample, like it's a sample for 74 that's been sampled a million times. It's a staple. But yes, it's the same sample.
Okay,
just flip different.
Yeah.
So it is. The flip of it is the flip from SWB from Use Your Heart on their 97 album. And SUV is like SWV, you go back and be like, they were underrated as an R&B group as far as their influence on stuff, because like people keep going back and sampling Rain on Me and obviously Weak and Chris Brown did the flip of the Human Nature that they did right there. So go look at the credits or whatever else, and we talking about Drake and we talking about Kendrick or whatever else. Do you know who produced Use Your Heart for SWV?
Is it the Jack
back in '97?
Is it the Jack Antonoff dude that he got a ton of co-production all over this thing?
He's a tech producer, and I actually got to eat some crow on that, but I'll get to that in a second. But do you want to guess who produced? But it's not Jack Antonoff, no. I mean, well, he is on it because he helped add to that as an executive producer. But the person that flipped the original back in '97 for SWV,
Pharrell.
Yes, the Neptunes, Rich. Yes. I will inherit the beef. Let's see you push a T, right? Heart comes out, or Drake does the Heart Part 6, which is basically him throwing the white flag to get out of this. Kendrick erases the heart with his actual version of the heart and uses a flip from Pharrell. Now, I don't know if that's intentional, but what I do know is Kendrick Lamar is a sicko. I wouldn't put him past him. I wouldn't put it past him that he did this intentionally. Like, we're at the point with his level of genius that we're like, we might be ascribing genius to him that he doesn't deserve, because we like, of course he goes to these levels. Like, he's almost like the Kobe system of rap now at this point.
There are so many like little things about like during the beef, like in the heart of the beef, where people were like picking out all these little things, and I'm like, and it got to a point where I was like, all right, that's a little much. Like, you can't give. I don't know if you get that credit for Kendrick. Him using a Pharrell beat on the Heart Part 6, that he knew what he was doing.
That's far more believable than some of the stuff we saw on Twitter.
Doing.
Yeah,
far easier to believe.
Yeah. Now I gotta eat crow on this. Rich, whenever you have heard me ever mention Jack Antonoff, has it ever been positive?
No.
All right, so I can tell you. Let's go back in time. All right, Jack Antonoff came into my life by being one of the people in that group called Fun. That had like, We Are Young with Janelle Monáe and Carry On, and there's a second song that was incredible. But that was like my introduction to Jack Antonoff. He was an indie pop band or whatever else in the early 2010s. Then they split up, and he basically became a producer, and he basically got on producing a couple tracks on that Taylor Swift 1989 album. Like, for me, he is like pop music's 40, whereas like he makes stuff that is never anybody's best stuff. And I'm like, why is this person still getting work with these people? Like flat out, like he does like 2 or 3 tracks on 1989, and I feel like Max Martin for the rest of the album kicks his ass up and down the track list, right? Flash forward, she no longer works with Max Martin, she works with Jack Antonoff almost exclusively, and I haven't liked her music since then, right? So flash forward to 616 to LA, he's on the production credits for Antonoff's on the production credits for that, and I'm like, oh, he's working Antonoff. I don't know about this shit here. So he's on this one, is like basically like executive producers. Is basically Antonov in Soundwave for this whole album. Basically, they're on basically every single track listing. And the 3 people that are most responsible for this album being produced is Soundwave, Antonov, and Mustard, right? And like I'm looking, at the credits, and I see like, who did the violin, the Heart? We just talking about the Heart. It's Bobby Hawk. Bobby Hawk is a guy that's got a lot of work with Antonov on Taylor Swift records. So it's like he brought it. So like now I'm like, all right, man, this is incredibly well mixed in a way that like I don't remember Kendrick Lamar albums necessarily being as far as in all these different mediums of audio systems. They sound great. This is I think it's the best, completely like best mixed album or collection of music Kendrick's ever put out, where you play it in the car, you can play it on a loud system, you can play it in cheap earphones, you play it in expensive earphones. It all sounds great. All right, I don't think you can necessarily say about the previous stuff. He's on a lot of stuff I like as far as production of these credits, and I gotta have to keep crowing this because like maybe it's the thing where like he's really good, but him and Taylor ain't good for each other. Even though Taylor has made a shit ton of money working with him over the last.
I mean, Dr. Dre was not good. Dr. Dre wasn't good with Jay-Z, so
that's true. T.I. was not good with Pharrell.
That's another one.
Except for the first song.
What's your
name?
The first album.
What's your name? In the Beanie Man shit. Everything else. Look, what about No Mercy? No Mercy. T.I. and Pharrell was not it at all. So yeah, I just think it's a bad match.
James, you sound like me putting over Sean Spears in that one feud he had with Wardlow where I'm doing it through gritted teeth. Like, look, man, I don't normally like this dude, but he came through.
I think that he is musically... I think that musically he is good in spots, but I don't think necessarily he should be the producer to produce one of the 5 biggest acts in music exclusively. I don't think he's that level of good, or maybe he's not the fit for what she wants to do. I just don't think it fits. Like you go look, I don't know if you ever listen to Taylor Swift, whatever else. I can tell, but like if you listen to that 1989 record or whatever else, and I don't tell you who's on the track listing, and I tell you to rank these records or whatever else, you're gonna be like, oh, this record is like at the very bottom of the list. Stuff the average person will go through. You'd be like, oh, that's him. How did he be the person to become a producer for her going through, as opposed to Max Martin, who basically is maybe the most successful producer of the last 30 years of pop music? Did most of the Britney Spears NSYNC shit, did a bunch of like, him and his collaborative group or whatever else with Shellback and Benny Blanco or whatever else before Benny Blanco became a thing. Like, made a lot of the shit that like Dr. Luke didn't make in the 2010s, and also so it's weird. It's just weird how she chose that, and then like people don't like her music as much anymore. Yet she still sell out stadiums because she still plays her old music. It's interesting that way. It's just interesting that way. Whatever.
James,
but yeah, like, I gotta give it to him because it sounded great. It sounded great throughout the whole thing.
I'll be honest. I don't think I could name a Taylor Swift album since 1989. Like, I know songs. I don't know if I could name, like, the album that the song came off of. Like,
there you go.
And I work at Target. I used to work at Target, so I sell a bunch of those albums.
Right,
so
right. Like, in fact, I think she got a commercial out right now where she's selling like some exclusive like book of photos from the Eras tour. Like it just hit. It just hit like, look. That chemistry relationship is nasty because like you play NFL games now and she has Target commercials selling books during the games. Like, oh, so was this all like, oh, you helped us out, so now we'll give you a, quid pro quo type of thing. But yeah, it's just interesting. Like, he's clearly talented because he keeps getting hired in these different places by people I respect, but I just don't feel it. Like with 40, same thing is like, I don't think he makes I don't think he makes like compelling music. I think he makes good sounding music, but I find it to be dull still. Like, I don't know if y'all have ever thought about like, this person makes well done music that I also don't think is actually like interesting or like that energetic, like just sleepy music. And that's fine if that's what your mood is for, but like that ain't my mood for, the Drake, who at that point was the biggest selling or is the biggest selling rapper of all time, kind of technically. So it's like, it's weird. Like, I don't. Yeah, man.
I was gonna say, you ready for this transition?